In this situation, biologists determine that the larger the area of a region, a country, the more species that you will find living there. So for example, Puerto Rico has 40 species of amphibians and reptiles and an area of 3,459 square miles. A different country has 84 species with this number of square miles. So we have a couple data points, and our job is to find an exponential function that's appropriate. And it is important to note that using an exponential function is only appropriate for small countries. To determine an exponential model, I need to know which of these two variables is the input and which is the output. I can find that information by reading the follow-up question. Determine an exponential function that gives the number of species on a Caribbean island, n of a, as a function of its area. So this statement right here says, since n is a function of a, this would be my output variable and a will be the input variable. Meaning if I had to write points as an ordered pair, you would plug in area and get out the number of species. So what I'm going to do is use regression in my calculator, and as always, I will put my input variable, which will be a, in list 1, and my output variable, which is the number of species, in my list 2. For the purposes of this video, I color-coded them. The areas I've written in blue here, and the number of species I've written in red. So just make sure you put the areas in list 1 and the number of species in list 2. There's no need for me to actually write this out because I'm going to go to my graphing calculator, turn it on, press stat, press enter. I'm going to delete any old data. Now in list 1, I need to type in the areas, remember A is my input, of the two countries, 3,459, enter, and 29,418, enter. Right arrow so that I can type in the number of species corresponding to those countries. Puerto Rico had 40, and the country with larger area had, let me see, 84. Now that I have the data in here, it's just a matter of telling the calculator that we want an exponential model. So I'm going to press stat, right arrow to calc. If you know that exponential regression is 0, you can just press 0. If you didn't know that, you'd have to scroll through the list to see the words exponential regression. And there it is right there. Option 0 is exponential regression. I press enter. I'm just going to leave things as they are. My x's are in list 1. My output variable y is in list 2. I will go down and say just calculate the regression equation. So here's the regression equation. It tells me that exponential regression can be written as y equals ab to the x, and then proceeds to tell me what the a and the b values are for my data. So now I just need to compare this with my possible choices since this question was multiple choice. So notice with exponential, the variable is in the exponent. A and b are numbers. So any choices that does not have the form y equals ab to the x with the variable in the exponent will be wrong choices. So from the very beginning, I could have thrown out choice A because the variable is not in the exponent. I could throw out choice B because the variable A is not in the exponent. Choice C is a line. It's of the form y equals mx plus b, and they didn't ask for a line. So from the very beginning, I could have thrown out the first three choices because they're simply not exponential. The last two choices are of the form y equals a b to the x. We're just not using x as an input variable, we're using a. So now it's just a matter of looking at what the calculator gave me and choosing either choice D or E. Notice A is 36.235 if you round the 4 up because this is a 7. And it's obvious to me now that choice D is the one that matches. Also notice that the B value here matches choice D. Now there's going to be a follow-up question to this problem, but for this part we know that the answer is choice D.